Today on the show, we're going to be talking about inertia. If you didn't know that even though he is Bart Allen's clone, he doesn't need to use the Speed Force anymore, then this show is for you. So, inertia, or Thaddeus Thorne II, would first appear in Impulse number 50 in 1999. So the Allen family and the Thorne family have never liked each other. They have hated each other for generations. Then, in the 30th century, the first half Allen, half Thorne baby is born and named Bart Allen. President Thaddeus Thorne I would try and have Bart join the anti-Allen campaign, but naturally this would fail. President Thorne would take Bart's DNA and mix it with pure Thorne genetic code and create a speedster clone, which he would name after himself. Now, Bart's childhood was very fast and carefree, and by fast I mean by the time he had been alive for 2 years, he was physically 15. Thaddeus, however, developed very slowly. Very slowly. So he became much more of a thinker as opposed to an actor, which made him the total opposite of Bart. However, one thing he was told right from birth was to hate the Allen family. He was brought up with hate for the Allen family, and he did this without question. That is actually something we see all too often in our own civilization. Kids brought up in religious organizations and religious cults, and they're never taught to ask why. Now, the point of creating Thaddeus as a reverse impulse was for him to go back in time and replace Bart, but he was very easily caught out and defeated. A little bit later on, Inertia would actually capture Bart and hold him prisoner in virtual reality. Inertia would then lead Max Mercury, Bart's mentor, into a trap into the Speed Force, but fortunately Bart would turn up and save the day, and this was the first ever time that Inertia saw love. Upon seeing this love, Inertia would be like, wait, that's love, and it makes me feel good to see it, but I have to feel hate for him. He is Bart Allen. I should hate him. And this whole situation would make him feel very confused and he would run off. The next time we would actually see Inertia was after 1 year later in 2006. He had actually changed his outlooks and plans. He didn't hate all the Allens now. He just wanted all the Speed Force for himself to become the next fastest man alive, which isn't exactly much better. There was a bit of an issue though. Bart had recently absorbed all of the Speed Force inside of himself, which meant Inertia couldn't use it anymore. To be able to keep up with Bart, Inertia started injecting himself with this chemical called Velocity 9. Now, Velocity 9 was a really unstable chemical, but it allowed a normal human to run at super speeds. What had happened was Deathstroke was able to refine Velocity 9 and remove most of its side effects, but in exchange for using it, Inertia had to join the Titans East. Now, for all of you that don't know about the Titans East, they were originally a group of Titans created by Deathstroke to be evil Titans. While he was a part of the Titans East, they would take full advantage of him being identical to Bart. They would have him disguise himself as Kid Flash, then attack Robin, and attack Raven, and attack Wonder Girl. It's also worth mentioning that he and Sun Girl were romantically involved with one another, and the two of them would torture Miss Martian. Eventually, Inertia would recruit a bunch of villains to become a group called the New Rogues, and he would tell them that we have to create this machine because this machine will allow us to stop time and do all the crimes we want and not get caught. But that was not the case at all. This machine just absorbed all of the Speed Force and put it into Inertia so he wouldn't need to use Velocity 9 anymore. The Rogues would attack Bart and kill him. But then they would realize, wait, Inertia lied to us, and they would turn on him and Inertia would have to run away. As soon as Bart died, Wally West would come back into existence. The moment Wally came back, he would find out about Bart's death and go after Inertia and seriously consider killing him, but he chooses to do something much, much worse. He used the Speed Force to slow all of Inertia's movements down to the point that he was a living statue, but with his consciousness in perfect condition. Wally would then take Inertia and place him in the Flash Museum facing statues of Bart as Impulse and Kid Flash. As Wally put it, he is forced to stare with eyes that take 100 years to blink. Bart's death was really quite hard for me to read. I kind of lived vicariously through him when I was growing up, so for him to not be around anymore was like me losing a friend. It is worth saying that Bart would eventually come back to life, but that's something we'll get into in Bart's own video. Eventually, the statue Inertia would be hit by a red lightning bolt, and this would free him from his paralysis. Naturally, as soon as the rogues find out that Inertia is free, they go to hunt him down. And it actually turns out that it's Zoom who freed Inertia. Now Zoom actually wants Inertia to put on a Kid Flash costume, disguise himself as Kid Flash, and cause tragedies in Wally West's life. Zoom wants Inertia to do this because he believes that this will make Wally a better hero, which obviously wouldn't work in a million years. The really interesting part of all of this is so Inertia doesn't need to use Velocity 9 anymore, Zoom shows him how to affect the flow of time around him. For all of you that don't know, this is actually an alternative to using the Speed Force but still being a speedster. This form of being a speedster does have a lot of limits, like you can't run across water like the Flash. The rogues would eventually find Inertia, but then the villain known as Libra would turn up with the Weather Wizard's son. This is horrible timing because Libra is all like, if you don't join me, your son gets it, but then Inertia turns around and kills the baby. Inertia then changes his costume and calls himself Kid Zoom, but then the rogues turn around and beat him to death. The rogues would leave a message next to Thaddeus's corpse saying, "Tell the Flash we are even." I believe Inertia was also present in the final battle of the Teen Titans in 2011, and that was probably a continuity error and another good example of why the New 52 needed to happen. Inertia, in my opinion, is a character that has a lot of potential, not as a villain, but as an anti-hero. You know, he could see a kid being abused or a kid in danger and save them because of his own messed up childhood, but at the same time, he doesn't really like working, so he's not afraid to rob a bank or two where necessary. I also feel like with the childhood this character has had, there is quite a bit of social commentary that you could do. Like you could cover abuse, neglect, the effects that being brought up in an organized religion can have on a person, just a whole spectrum of things. I don't know, maybe I just see potential here where no one else does, but I definitely know the direction that I would take this character in. It's super effective! Okay guys, that is it for today. If you think I missed anything about Inertia, please let me know in the comments down below, and also don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more history, and also don't forget to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. My name is Faust, this has been Exploring Comics, and it is super effective.